I don't think that there is a single process that will not be affected by AI.
So we do believe in the great potential of AI, but we're also strong advocates when it comes to responsible usage of AI with very clear guardrails. Yeah?
Let me be very clear. Without main capital partners, we would not be where we are right now.
Welcome to Deal Decoded by Main Capital Partners, the podcast where we unpack what really drives value in software partnerships. I'm Sophia Hengelbrok, and today we're diving into a topic that's top of mind for investors, product leaders, and operators: how AI impacts software. We'll explore this through the lens of PeakAvenue, a global engineering quality platform that didn't just scale through acquisitions. It's unlocking an entire new phase of growth through AI. Joining me today are Ulrich Mangold, CEO of PeakAvenue, and Dorian Berndt, Investment Director at Main Capital Partners. Together, we'll discuss how PeakAvenue is built, why AI matters in this space, and what this transformation actually looks like in practice. All right, Ulrich, let's begin with you. You're originally from Germany, but you've worked all over the world, including several years in the Netherlands, and I even heard you speak Dutch fluently. But we won't test you on this podcast.
Thank you.
How did you ultimately arrive at PeakAvenue?
Actually, after finishing my double degree in mechanical engineering and business administration, I joined the Bosch Group. Within the 23 years I worked in the Bosch Group, I had the opportunity to work in diverse businesses and business fields, as well as in different countries. One of them was the Netherlands after an acquisition from Philips in the area of CCTV, or video surveillance. And by moving to the Netherlands and leading the team in the Netherlands, I personally am convinced that you need to integrate yourself.
That's true.
Integration means also learn the local language so that you can speak with people on the street, in the company, and everywhere. So what I did, I learned Brabants at the end, not really Dutch.
Okay.
After coming back from Bosch Australia, I joined Bosch Germany and met the founder and owner of IQS Software GmbH, a German software company which is now part of the PeakAvenue group. The founder told me that he was at the age to retire and would not have a natural successor in his company. So he asked me whether I would want to leave the Bosch group and take over his position. After long considerations, you can believe, with 23 years of Bosch, going from a huge multinational to a very small company, I thought I want to take the challenge of being entrepreneur and having your own skin in the game. And that's why I left Bosch and started in the year 2020 during the COVID crisis with IQS.
Thank you for sharing. For those less familiar with the industrial software space, can you briefly explain what PeakAvenue does and who uses the platform?
Yours and mine expectation as an end consumer using many different products is that whatever we have is of high quality. In order to ensure this high quality, there are many processes along the process, from the product idea to the last production of a single part. This whole time, this whole lifespan, we call digital thread. And along this digital thread, there are heaps of processes with which you can ensure this product quality. As you can imagine, there are many products like automotive, aerospace, or medtech, where also life-threatening events can happen if you do not ensure this quality. These markets are highly regulated, and exactly in these markets, PeakAvenue is active, amongst others, but this is the major part. And as the value chain goes from large multinationals to very small companies producing those products, we also cover customers from Airbus, Boeing, Volkswagen, General Motors, down to a small plating company with 50 employees.
And I'd never heard the term digital thread before, actually. But it sums it
You're going to
up.
hear it more often today.
Dorian, let's move to you. You've been involved with PeakAvenue from Main side since the early days. Can you introduce yourself and explain your role in the PeakAvenue journey so far?
Sure, happy to. I'm actually going to celebrate my 10th anniversary with Main later this year.
Congratulations.
And one thing that I have in common with Ulrich is that I had an episode working in the Netherlands. Actually was the first non-Dutch person at Main Capital Partners. And then actually started off in The Hague and then moved with 2 colleagues from The Hague to Düsseldorf, where I helped building up the German office team and portfolio. Today, I am responsible for 6 of our software companies with a nucleus in the German-speaking area from a shareholder and from a board perspective. So with PeakAvenue, I have indeed been involved from day onwards. You could probably say well ahead of day one. I have known the Plato team, which was part of the joint nucleus, I think 4 or 5 years prior to our acquisition. I've met them at one of our events that we hosted in Düsseldorf. And Ulrich, I had known for 1 or 2 years prior to our acquisition or the business combination that we have formed. So I have been very much involved in driving the business combination to happen in day one. Yeah.
So you know each other quite well. Let's get into the details. What makes PeakAvenue so interesting is it wasn't built as a single product. It was created by bringing together multiple technologies and companies. Ulrich, can you walk us through that journey and why consolidation was so necessary?
If you think of the software market, you often see that some dominant players are in that area. Just think of ERP systems. SAP is a dominant player in the ERP market. You will find niches where other players find their places, but SAP definitely is a dominant market player in the area of ERP. In our market, where we say engineering and quality management, as I described in the beginning, we do not have these major players. Actually, the market is split into many and fragmented into many small and medium-sized businesses performing these services to the customers. Very often these businesses focus on a certain range of the digital thread, so they look at certain processes like quality planning or finally in the factory ensuring the quality, but not covering the full digital thread. So what we did with PeakAvenue was to consolidate and to merge different market leaders in their fields, different SMB companies, and fill the entire digital thread with the market leaders in one company. By bringing them in one platform, we do not only have the depth of every single process, what the customers are used to have, but we also have the breadth, meaning we can connect these different processes. We have a connected world. So from a customer perspective, there's a huge opportunity that they can get rid of a scattered IT landscape and consolidate this into one PeakAvenue platform.
At what point did it start to feel like one company rather than multiple businesses grouped together?
I don't think that there is a single moment I could specify that this was the tipping point of a change. I would probably even say this change is still ongoing, because if people have worked 25 years in one certain company, it is not over after 2-3 years of integration. However, I think it was very important that we pretty much immediately changed the organization into one functional organization where you have one sales organization, and everyone who was before in sales, no matter which background, went into the sales department, and same for all other departments. That does help, so people work together and try to achieve the same target. I think another strong milestone was the invention and the rebranding of our company to PeakAvenue, which was actually created in 2023 as a name and as a brand name. And, then there are many, many small factors. And I think something like having branded hoodies, and I see all our employees running around with the PeakAvenue hoodie, including me. We really start to identify with the company and with the new one shell.
And Dorian, can you share how this process felt from an investor's perspective?
On the one hand, I've been very much impressed about how Ulrich and team have managed this entire change process. And indeed, it has been continuously ongoing. We have acquired in the meanwhile over five companies. And I've been very much impressed how the team has integrated those from an organization perspective, from a branding perspective, from a product perspective, just to name a few of those dimensions. However, the investor perspective, of course, is always inherently impatient, and I'm certainly no exception to that rule. Probably even further ahead than others. And I would like to be done basically day one. And but I, of course, also do need to acknowledge if you're and that's part of our integration strategy, right? Is to build an integrated, also industry-defining platform that is creating real value for our customers. And I also do need to acknowledge that this is not done overnight.
And moving into the background of the deal, why was this the right moment for a partnership with Main?
Well, I would say deal is probably the wrong word, because what we did do is we did facilitate a business combination from the get-go, yeah? And we brought together two companies. On the one hand, Plato, being a cloud leader in FMEA software, so failure modes and effects analysis software, very niche, but well advanced in terms of depth and technology. And IQS, more of a broader portfolio in the quality management space, more geared towards the shop floor. Both companies have been catering very similar customer groups in oftentimes highly regulated industries. And we have been convinced that there is a great strategic fit. There's great cross-selling potential among the two companies. And as highlighted before, I've been in touch with both teams for ages prior to the investment date. So we did pitch a business combination accompanied by an integration strategy and also further buy and build strategy on how to basically build a platform along the digital thread to the shareholder groups and management teams. And the pitch of a joint strategy moving forward resonated very well with management teams and the shareholder groups. And in a nutshell, or a long story short, we were able to form a group or a joint nucleus of the two companies within a short period of time of only 3 months.
Let me be very clear. Without Main Capital Partners, we would not be where we are right now. And I say this for 3 strong reasons. Reason number 1 is the competence and the power to do all these acquisitions. None of the founders would have had neither the competence, because acquiring companies is a special competence as such, nor the financial possibility and opportunity to acquire market players like we have. The second part, which I think is a very strong argument, is none of the founders would have been as brave and as strict as we were together with PeakAvenue and Main Capital Partners to do a radical strategy, to build a greenfield platform where we have the most modern state-of-the-art technology involved, rather than building it on something that has already been there for 20 years, which, by the way, is also the gateway to enter the AI market. And also to have a cleaned up tech stack at a certain period of time, a cleaned up modern tech stack without technical inheritance. And the third part, and this is, I think, is driven by the fact that Main is solely active in the software industry. Main has a very, very strong process excellence team. And the Main excellence team has helped us in several occasions, as third-party consultants would do for a lot of money, to bring us on the right path and to help us in the value creation and in the change of some major parts.
That must feel quite good to hear.
Absolutely re-encouraging. I mean, there is certainly some pride in what we've jointly accomplished since joining forces from mid-2022 onwards and where we are today.
Yeah, and speaking on those accomplishments, incredibly, since partnering with Main, PeakAvenue has grown 5 times its original size, correct?
Yes.
While recurring revenue has increased from 30% to roughly 80%. A major part of that journey was the shift toward a SaaS-based model. Ulrich, why was this transformation so critical?
Actually, these numbers you have mentioned, they show, again, the DNA of change, which for us, change is daily business, is not a project as such. And the true software as a service approach, I think, is most crucial because of several reasons. Number 1, just think of what customers are doing in an on-prem solution. They have to buy hardware. They have to change hardware after a certain moment of time. They have to put our software on their hardware and hope that everything works out. They need to, with every migration, repeat this process again. And we keep the, IT departments on our customer side busy all the time. So this is one part which is definitely gone with a SaaS approach, where you can log on a web browser and put in the PeakAvenue address and you can start working. That also comes with time to value. Sometimes regulations change. Sometimes we need new features. And in a world of on-prem, customers need to get the new software stage. They need to download it onto their system. They need to install it on the different machines and then release it for their users. In our case, of course, we will test it, but then we will release it, and every customer at the same time has it. And talking about a same level of software in a multi-tenant solution for all our customers, that's also very critical if you talk about data exchange. If we want to have companies in a value chain, and just think of the industries I have mentioned in the beginning with a strong segregation along the entire value chain, the data exchange works best if everyone is on the same exchange format. And this is naturally given in a SaaS environment. So also this is a strong argument. The argument we then hear from many customers, whoa, SaaS, data security. I'm not sure whether I want to have my luxury data being in a SaaS environment, in a cloud, which I don't control. To all those, I can say we use AWS as a standard in the data security part. AWS is not only the company regarded from Gartner as the company being market leader in the terms of data security. It is also a company that probably spends more than most of our customers accumulated in terms of data security. So I think that is probably the most secure way for companies to host their data. The last part, and I have said this in the beginning, the SaaS solution has one very charming element, and that's the scalability. And if you want to work with AI, and probably we have only seen the beginning of AI, that will require a lot of computation power. You need to scale the system. You need to be capable, if you have big processes, to run them still in a very efficient time. If you have this on an on-prem solution only for you as one customer, you will have problem with the scalability. And that's where the SaaS solution can also give tremendous value. We are aware that some industries like aerospace, medtech, and defense, that they have certain requirements that do not fit into a multi-tenant solution. So you can be sure, and also our customers can rest assured, that we will find solutions and that we are working for them on solutions to also cater for their needs.
Up until now, we've talked about structure, scale, and integration. Let's move on to the next layer, AI. Ulrich, was AI already part of PeakAvenue's vision early on, or did it emerge later as a growth lever?
One reason to build a greenfield system, a greenfield platform, was to have a most modern IT architecture. And with that architecture, we had involved very, very early on AI functionality. This functionality was different than our AI strategy says today. It would be a surprise to say after 4 years, the AI strategy hasn't changed. So we were happy that we had natural language search in our documents, that we had chatbots you could ask questions and getting answers, and that you might have some auto-translation in your system supported by AI. Today, I think with this tremendous speed on development in the AI, we also look more on agentic AI. And agentic AI means that we look on systems of actions and systems of controls being executed by AI agents in the software to help people work more efficiently in this software.
And what problem did AI unlock that wasn't solvable before?
From a high level of perspective, and here I go back to my 20 years of industry experience, I think the productivity and efficiency of people working is still not at a level where it can be. Mm-hmm. it is still within companies that we have very numerous manual processes going on. And this even gets worse if you leave the company border and if you work together between different companies. And on that side, in the terms of efficiency, paired with increasing complexity and increasing regulations that need to be taken care of, the workload is just increasing and increasing. And here I believe AI can be the lever to work smarter and work more efficiently in this increasing environment.
Yeah, and that's what we all want, I think.
Yeah.
Dorian, from Main's perspective, what convinced you that AI represented genuine value creation and not just hype?
Yeah, I'd like to look back first, because what we've done is eventually we built the data and process backbone for quality and functional safety with the PeakAvenue platform to not only tackle individual risk, but system risks, and to facilitate customers in highly regulated industries on an enterprise level to deal with those risks in a genuine and appropriate manner. Nonetheless, we have customers that are burdened with a lot of administrative tasks, a lot of manual work. We do see that communication fails in enterprise organizations. Oftentimes within the department, it's becoming even worse if it's cross-departmental. And we do see that this just amplifies risks. And that is exactly what we like to address with our platform, right? So with AI agents, we do see that we can take away a lot of those burdensome administrative tasks. We can automate controls, and we can make sure that the right information, the right data is at the right moment in time and the right place to make the best decisions, and or possibly automate decision making where needed, and to become more efficient and to become less prone to risks that impact your business. Having said that, we do see AI as a great lever for PeakAvenue to create added value for our customers, and thus to also expand the total addressable market in which we are active in, to also grow on the back of AI and create value for all stakeholders and also shareholders involved.
Ulrich, can you describe one concrete AI use case at PeakAvenue and what it changes for customers in their daily work?
I would even give you 2 examples.
Oh, wonderful.
One of them, because I want to differentiate between the systems of action and systems of control. In the terms of systems of action, where you have agentic AI performing work that automatically that people normally would do manually, I would like to go into one field of the engineering and quality management, which is very, very common. That's the complaint system. You want to gather the actual failures so that you can improve and you can sustainably find solutions to prevent this from happening again. There are different methods on how you do a complaint process and how you do a process for problem solving thereafter. One of them is called 8D, where you go through 8 structured steps and then come up at the end with a sustainable solution that this problem will never occur again. This 8D step is a highly manual, highly effective task to perform. And obviously within that task, you also have some steps where you need creativity, where you need technical expertise to really find the solutions to prevent the problem from happening again. And the agentic AI, that's one of the use case, can definitely help here to get rid of all the manual work, and that the engineers have the possibility to focus their time on finding the solutions and discussing those solutions and optimizing the system thereafter. The second example is the systems of control. System of controls means that the agentic AI performs checks whether whatever a human or the AI machine itself has performed is compliant, is correct, and is validated. And in this process, a concrete example is the sampling process. What happens if you build a new product? You need to have samples. And these samples need to be validated. Normally you have different sample stages even. in the validation process of these samples, it's not only that you get 10 parts and you look at the characteristics, meaning the tolerances, whether they are met. You also need to look whether all documentation is going with it, whether everything is compliant to many, many different rules. And this is where regulation has really made this process very huge. Here, this checking of a single sample can be totally done by a machine and by agentic AI. And that's where I think we have a possibility to input agentic AI into our software, that at the end, the user doesn't have to do the checks, but the user gets reports on where to look at. Gets in, look at this place, look at that place, and then you can just check whether the reports are good, but you are guided rather than having to screen the mass of data yourself and probably overlooking most of it. And that's I think, a big and a nice example for, or actually 2 examples for the agentic AI.
Yeah, well, thank you for both of those examples. Looking at engineering and quality management more broadly today, what's the one area where you believe AI can truly change the game?
I don't think that there is a single process that will not be affected by AI. Other than the efficiency gains I elaborated on before, I think one of the major parts is also communication. In the human species, communication is not the most natural thing to happen. Definitely not beyond department borders, definitely not beyond time limits. And this is where AI can help to bridge this deficiency we are having in our communication.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what I can still learn and take out of the conversation today when it comes to board communication. No, but jokes aside, what we've always tried to do with PeakAvenue is to create a self-learning platform, right? So that is stronger than the sum of its parts, and where you have a lot of benefits of the deep level of integration between the different layers of quality management and functional safety. So imagine, for instance, that you have a customer that receives a complaint because the product was broken or there were some deficiencies. And you would, of course, need to identify if that was because the product design was flawed, or the requirements that you had towards your product and the product design process were not ideal, or maybe also your supplier just shipped a part of your product that was simply also not up to par. And you would like to what we try to do is to come up with a platform, also with the help of AI, that overcomes those shortcomings, and that you can really learn in real time to improve also your quality processes, and eventually also improve the functional safety of your product, which will then eventually not only benefit the customer because they have lower or less complaints, but it will also help the entire community and society, because the products that we're using on a daily basis will be more secure, will be more functional, and we will have less troubles with broken goods.
Let's try to predict the future. Looking ahead, where do you see AI having the biggest impact at PeakAvenue in the next few years?
I believe that with the implementation of the agentic AI, we will ensure a platform where engineers will have fun to work in. They will have fun because they can focus and concentrate on their real tasks, which is ensuring the technical validity of the product, to ensure the safety of the product, to be creative. That's where the engineers should spend time on, not in the administrative part of dealing with the software. And this is, I think, the big change that's going to happen. And that's also part of our strategy. We want to have the people actively working in our software because they say, without this software, it's inevitable, I cannot perform my process.
Yeah, and to add what Ulrich just said, I think AI is fundamentally changing the game on how we work inside software companies, also, of course, applicable to PeakAvenue, right? So that does not only entail, and there is a lot of public noise about that, the software development processes where we do, in fact, see a lot of productivity gains, but that affects all departments inside a software company, right? So be it support, be it back office processes, be it the way we sell and market our software, including how we price and package our software, and to also replicate the value that we bring to our customers, right? So what we do at Main to facilitate that, once again, change process and transformation story is that we try to bring the strength of our entire ecosystem to the table. So you always need to bear in mind that we are today majority shareholding in roughly 60 software groups. We have more than 15,000 software professionals in our portfolio. There are always people and organizations that are front-running and spearheading certain processes or use cases from which everybody can learn from. So we try to be very practical about it. We try to regularly, on a monthly basis, share those practical case studies with the entire portfolio or the community of CEOs and CTPOs in our portfolio, just to make sure that everybody is ahead of the curve and can fully take advantage of also the great potential that lies ahead with the advent of AI.
I'm glad you brought that up because we actually share insights from those roundtables at our LinkedIn page, and you can find more information in the description of this podcast. We'll close with a Deal Decoded tradition, giving our guests a dilemma to choose from. Ulrich, as AI becomes more capable, what's harder for you as CEO? Letting AI take work out of people's hands or deciding where humans must always stay in control?
I don't believe in that dilemma.
Great.
Both is going hand in hand. Already in the 90s, I have read a book from Jeremy Rifkin's called End of Work. I can only recommend this to read it. It's a nice history book, you can almost say now, where the prediction was due to new sophisticated computers, robotics, telecommunications, and other cutting-edge technologies, the work of humans would virtually disappear in all sectors. What a prediction. Now, 30 years later, we can say this has not taken place, right? In hindsight, you're always smarter. It was a very interesting book, but you could rewrite the same book now on AI. That's why I use this example. And I still believe there will be work automized, but looking at the increased complexity, you will always need a lot of people to still put in the intelligence and put in the coordination of the work so that we can still employ the people and have at the end, even in a highly regulated world, a better outcome in terms of engineering and quality of the product.
And Dorian, same dilemma, but from an investor's perspective.
I could not agree more to what Ulrich just said, right? So we do believe in the great potential of AI, but we're also strong advocates when it comes to responsible usage of AI with very clear guardrails. Yeah? So not only PeakAvenue, but also applicable to PeakAvenue is that we are investing and shareholding in many software companies that are active in highly regulated industries. Yeah? Could also be healthcare, could be financial services, could be public services. And responsible usage of AI is absolutely paramount to also ensure a desirable outcome. Yeah? So AI really needs to be reliable, it needs to be accountable, it needs to be transparent, it needs to be fair, and it needs to comply with all the applicable regulations and laws that are relevant for that individual company. So we really take that seriously, and I personally do believe that you can only make sure that this is also taking place and that this is ensured if there is a human element in the entire equation.
All right. Thank you both. What today's conversation shows is that AI value isn't created by algorithms alone. It depends on strong foundations, thoughtful decisions, and close collaboration between management and investors. Ulrich, Dorian, thank you for sharing your insights. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Deal Decoded. See you next time.